Welcome to my Sitecore Diaries. This is the video from the series Mastering Sitecore Indexing with Solr. This is the fourth part of this series. Today we are going to discuss about indexing optimization. Before starting, let me introduce myself. I am Jiten Viganekar. I am an Sitecore 10.NET certified developer. So till now, what we have seen what is Solr, what are the different default search engine configuration, default search indexes. This is we have done in part one. In part two, we have seen indexes update strategies and the best practices about it. Then in last video, we have seen indexing tools in Sitecore, Solr field name format and computed field. Okay, so now today we are going to see index optimization techniques. So we will see best practices to optimize the indexes, and then in the last part of this series we will see Solr query, how to query Solr. Okay, so in this video we are going to concentrate on index optimization technique. Before starting today's content, let me request you, if you are not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to the channel. Please click on a bell icon to get a latest update, and if you like the videos, don't forget to click on a like button, to share it with your friends and colleagues, and do provide your feedback via comment. So let's start today's topic. So let's see indexing optimization technique. The first one, the index only the required templates and fields. So if you check the Solr default index configuration, it defines the default configuration of your indexes. Okay, so in this you have to make sure that you are indexing only the required templates and fields. So how we can do that? The first thing is turn off the indexing of all fields using the attribute or the settings index all field true, index all and include only the fields you need. So basically in your configuration you will have this configuration, this default configuration, you will have this node index all field app which means whether you want to index all the fields. If it is true, then it will index all the fields of your site code. So to avoid that, I mean, you do not want to index all the field, right? So you turn off that indexing all fields. So in that case, you have to configure what are the fields which you want to index. Okay, so there are two ways to do it. If you keep the index all field true, it means it will index everything is true. In that, you can add the filter called exclude field. Okay, that way you will be excluding what you do not want in your search. Okay, so best practice is to turn off it and only indexes all the whatever you need. Okay, so that include only what you need. Okay, but practically it may not be possible. In case you have a lot of fields, then it is not possible. So in that case you can go other way around, where you index everything and you add the exclude fields. Index only what you intend to search and search or a query. So what is indexing is used for? It is basically used for searching the data, right? So whatever you are going to search or whatever you are going to query, that only you index it. Okay, don't index everything. Exclude template. Okay, there are not all the template you want to query, right? So you can have a list of exclude statement by using this node. Then you have a exclude field. As I mentioned earlier, that there might be a practically it is not possible to add all the fields whatever you want to index, or so whenever you make any change or any field you want to, you will need to add that in your include field. So instead of that, if you make it index all field true, and then you exclude the field which you do not want to index. So that is the another way of doing it. Index everything for master so that all items are searchable in the content editor, and index what you need for the web index. So you have multiple indexes, so understand where it is used. Okay, so master is used your content editor, so there you might need to use the indexes for all the content, right? So in content editor tree, if you want to index something that needs to be then you need all everything. Whereas on website, where you might not need everything, okay, so accordingly you need to adjust yourself. So as I said, the your configurations. So basically, if you see here, so index all field is true. So set this true and place all the fields you would like to remove in the exclude field list below. Set to false and place all the fields you would like to index in the include field. As I said, there are two approaches which you can do. You can put index all field true, then you have to add all the excluded field in exclude field list. Whereas if you put it false, then you have to manually add what are the fields you want to include in the search. So those fields will come into include field list. Okay. So this is an example of exclude template. If you say exclude it, add exclude template. Here you are excluding this template or bucket folder template ID. Okay. Then this is the example of a exclude field. As you set up true, then you have to exclude the field. So basically these fields, the standard fields of the site, so you may not be querying it. So all those fields you can exclude it like this. Like here you have excluded the created field. Okay, so that is getting added into the list. So this is the first best practice that for to optimize your indexes. Index only required template and fields. Do add the if you are using the index all field true, then do add all your excluded field in the exclude field list. Do add your excluded templates in excluded template list. Second point is index only required content versions and required content locations. So in master indexes, all the version of the content is getting stored. Okay, so you should make sure not more than 10 versions of items get created. That is the best practice. You can use a marketplace tool to limit these versions. Ideally, you want to index only the latest version of the item. You can index inbound filter pipeline to store only the latest version of an item and configure your index crawler to include only the portion that it needs to crawl and index. So there are two parts. One is the content version. So you can have a multiple, if you create a number version, there might be a lot of number versions which is created. You may not want all those named version in the search. Okay, you might want only the latest version, or you can have last one or two versions. Okay, depending on your logic. So maybe most of the cases you only will need the latest version. Okay, so you make sure that you are indexing only the required version, and the second part is the location. You may not be required all the content tree to be indexed. There might be a specific location which you would like to index, so you configure that one. Okay, so first point is how you can limit your latest version only to index. Okay, for that you might need to you might need to customize your inbound index filter processor. Okay, so inbound index version filter you might need to customize. So this is the some sample example how you can do it. Okay, here we are checking only the latest version. So if it is the latest version, then only we are taking that into the consideration. Okay, so that way you can do it. Okay, I'm not giving in detail, but just an hint that this is how you can do. You can customize your index bound index version filter and only index the latest version of your item. Okay, so once you customize it, you will have to add the create a patch file where you will patch this. Okay, so this is how you will be restoring your indexing to the latest version. And second part is the crawling. So if you see the index default index configuration, there is a indexing crawler where you give the path. Okay, so give the path only which is required to be crawled. Okay, there might be a part of your content tree which may not required in the search query. You try to exclude that. Okay, in your crawler. Second thing is now this is the third point. A multi-site website creates separate indexes per site. So multi-site scenario, you can create an index per site that is configured to include only the item that belongs to the site content mode. So you have a multi-site configuration. So you have a website A, website B. So you can have a separate indexes for website A and website B. It will be helpful to both the purposes. One is the performance wise and another is the managing these indexes will be helpful. So create the separate indexes for your multi-site website. At the same time, you may also have the default Sitecore indexes, which include every content in the Sitecore by default. So there might be another index, the default indexes, which we are actually using webmaster. Those might be required. Okay, so you keep those default indexes. Okay, like the master indexes might be used in your Sitecore content tree, where it will require all the indexes. Okay, so those you should create it, and also if there is any shared content, that index also you create it separately. Okay, which can be used separately. Crawl the sitecode node using the separate crawler per index. Okay, so every index should have a separate crawler. So if you take an example here, so you have here two crawler added. Okay, for the one main website, another the brand website. Root is defined here, Sitecore content main website, where for brand is Sitecore content brand A. So these are the two different crawler which is using to crawl. So and also your indexes are different. Index, you see the main website, you have a main website index, and whereas your brand will have a brand A website. So this is how you can separate the indexes per site. Next point, you should have index specific to your server roles. CMS server uses sorry, CMS server uses master and web preview database. Then corresponding master and web preview indexes should be on the CM server, whereas CD server uses the web database. Then it should have only the web indexes. So depending on your server roles, where you should have the specific indexes. So CMS, your master in the CM server need it, maybe the master and web preview, then you will put those indexes only on those server, whereas CD will require the web index, so you have a web index there. Follow the best practices related to indexing strategy. We have already seen the best practices related to indexing strategy. If you have not watched that video, you will get a link in the description. Okay, and this if you are watching it from the playlist, so it will have the video also related to that. Okay, so there you should follow the best practices. There are few best practices which we have explained, so follow that. By default, if you see the master VGD, it might use a sync master or interval sync master indexing strategy. Web you will have on publish async strategy. Core you will have a internal async core strategy. Keep your indexing pipeline clean and remove unused pipelines. Keep customization logic minimum and lightweight, which include your computer feed also. These are two dependent same line, both the practices. So basically what it is saying is that whenever you are customizing anything, if you are customizing indexing, like you are creating some computed fields, or you might be customizing any pipeline, indexing pipeline, you might be customizing some item save event or whatever. So keep those code clean. It should not have an infinite loop or maybe some costly operation, okay, which will cause your indexing or to be also costly operation, right? So it is all depend. Okay, it is in same process, so it will all depend. So this is the reason you should keep logic minimum, customized logic minimum, and it should not be heavy logic. Then there are few settings which you can play with. So depending on your environment, depending on your number of indexes, these are the few settings which you can play. You can try adjusting those, and which will give you the best performance. You can use it. The first is the disable database cache. So it indicates whether or not populated database caches with data retrieved during indexing. So whether you need to populate a database cache or not when you are indexing it, that is defined by this field. If you set it true, then Sitecore indexes every version and language of the item as usual, but does not cache this item data in the database cache. And this can reduce the amount of memory used for a cache data and improve performance, especially in solution and with a large number of items, version and languages. If you set it false, Sitecore indexes every version and language of the item and caches the item data in the database caches. Now you must be knowing the advantage and disadvantages of the caches. It's applied here. Okay, if you use the cache, what will happen? So depending on your infrastructure, this value can change, or which will give you the base performance. So it might give you base performance at true and false, or maybe you can give it at a false, because if you use the caches, you will need a memory also. You don't have a memory and you have tried to cache it the data, then it will have a problem. So you have to play with these values depending on your environment and infrastructure. Then there are two configuration which defines your parallel indexing. Okay, whether you want to do a parallel indexing. So one is a parallel indexing dot enable. Use parallel optimization when indexing. So you can use the parallel optimization dot max thread limit. So it will give you the limit of the number of threads used for indexing operation when parallel indexing is enabled. How many threads you want to run it? Again, this all depend on your it's again has a pros and cons, so it all depend on your infrastructure. So you have to check it which setting is helpful for you. Then you can run the indexes in the batch, so you can have a batches. So determine the number of items that should be processed during the index update within a batch. So these are the few settings. There are other settings also, but these are the few important settings which you can play on depending on your infrastructure, depending on your website, depending on your solution. It may vary. There is no specific things that you should do this which will improve it. It's all depend on your infrastructure. Okay, so these are the few indexing optimization. So we are done for today's topic. So let's summarize what we have seen today. The first thing is index only required templates and fields. So to optimize your indexes, make sure that you are indexing only the required templates and fields. Then we have seen index only required content version and location. So only the required content version and location you can index. Then create a separate index for your separate website. So you have multi-site website, you create a multiple indexes, but at the same time you keep your default indexes also there. Then keep indexes specific to your server rules. Follow the best practices related to indexing strategies. Keep indexing pipeline clean with a minimum customization logic. And there are few settings which we have discussed, which you can adjust to get a better performance. So these are the things which we have seen today. So we are done for today. If you like the video, please click on a like button. Do share with your friends and family. Do provide your feedback via the comment. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and click on a bell icon to get the latest update. Thank you. Thanks for watching.